So I'm going to take you through how to start to do that. I'm going to take you through the 5 pillars to grow a strong personal brand on LinkedIn. And there'll be 5 tangible actions, right? It's a masterclass. You can take these 5 actions away and implement them within the hour after this webinar. And I've seen people who have attended webinars with me before, and they've taken these 5 actions and they've closed clients within a month. And for employees, they've got their project secured within a month because they're able to bring in experts. They're able to. There's some employees that I'll show you some examples later on who have 10x more followers than their bosses, and they can start to influence their bosses in a major way. So the 5 pillars are mindset, audience, message, content, and engagement. Let's get into it. Mindset. 2 key tenets here: consistency beats intensity and prolific beats perfect. I want anyone in the group know who this lovely lady is. Put a guess in the chat if you want to guess who that is. No guesses? All right, I'll let you know. It's Agatha Christie. So Agatha Christie wrote 70 books in her lifetime. She started writing in her mid-30s. So in effect, she wrote 2 books a year, every year until she died. And she wrote them on a typewriter, right? It's like slow typing. It's an arduous process. But she understood prolific beats perfect. She openly admitted later in her life that her earlier books were far worse than her great work in terms of Hercule Poirot and there's another detective who I've forgotten. Again, if you know it, put it in the chat. But she openly admitted her earlier work was worse, but she understood prolific beats perfect. And it's the same with LinkedIn. We're not going to get things perfectly, perfectly right, and that's okay. What I love about LinkedIn, and I get things wrong occasionally when I post. What I love about LinkedIn is the community is supportive, and I learn and I can correct and I can grow as a result. An example is I did some research around plastic. I put out a piece about plastic. I didn't quite get the data right. Someone let me know. I updated it. I'm very happy to do that. It's part of the process. And the more you do, the less and less that occurs because you get better and better process in place to ensure the things you put out in terms of ESG, in terms of sustainability are accurate. And when it's not, the community supports if you do it in the right way. So prolific beats perfect. If you're someone who wants to make sure everything's perfect, and I totally understand if that's you, by the way, I really encourage you to just think, how can I move towards a more prolific beats perfect attitude, certainly for LinkedIn. The second key tenet, consistency beats intensity. It's a little bit like brushing our teeth, right? We do it twice a day, 2 minutes, twice a day. That's consistent. It's boring. It's not something you ever talk about, in public. I hope you don't. Talk about brushing your teeth. But the intensity part of that is if you decided to stop brushing your teeth for a day, a week, or a month, a day, nothing really happens, right? But a month, well, maybe you get toothache. You go to the dentist, you have an expensive operation. That's intensity. Yeah, sure, you might talk about that with people, but it's not the result you actually want. We want healthy teeth. It's the exact same with LinkedIn, right? Showing up even just 10 minutes a day and doing the work is the consistent stuff. It can be pretty boring, but it puts off the intensity of scrambling around to find clients, scrambling around to get that project delivered or accepted by the board if you're an employee. Consistency beats intensity. So these are the mindset, 2 pieces of mindset that I'd love you to think about after this call. The second thing is audience. This is all about who you love working with. Right, who here has been on put a yes in the chat if you've come off a call with a client or a fellow employee, just feeling so energized. Like, oh, I love that call. Like, they gave me so much energy. Put a yes in the chat if you've had that experience. A yes from Simon. Thank you, Simon. All right. So, has no one else had that experience where they've come off a call and they're just so energized? They're like, oh, this is amazing. I love that person's energy. And I want to work more with them. And it doesn't have to be, it could be a sales call, could be a client call, could be a partnership call, could be a call with a fellow employee. Okay, only Simon. All right, well, Simon's the lucky one in this crowd. Yes, Marek. Okay, great. Simon and Marek are the lucky ones in this crowd. I want you to think about, who do you really love working with? As a founder, this is important because where we spend our time is, and who we spend it with, is incredibly important to ultimately the energy we're able to bring to our work. And as an employee, this is important because you can start to understand what are the characteristics about the people who give you energy, and crucially, what are the characteristics of the people who don't. As a founder, we can start to have a choice who we work with and who we don't. As an employee, we have less of a choice, but we can be intentional and aware about those traits, right? So if our boss is it's a bit of a dick, well, we can understand, okay, well, why is that? And maybe we can help him, it's typically a him when that's the case, be a bit less of a self-centered, egotistical, if that's how we're going to sum up. I don't know if I can swear on this. I'm very sorry, Nazi, if I can't. But we can start to understand what are those traits and maybe help that person, or equally be like, I've had enough, right? I'm going somewhere else. Truth is, if you've got a lot of followers and you're able to bring business as head of sustainability, it's incredibly hard for the boss to say, okay, you're not going to get your raise, you're going to get your bonus. It's so important. So here's the piece for our audience. Map out, spend 10 minutes after this, map out what are the characteristics of the people who give you energy. Right. And so for Marek, who's had that call, fantastic. If you haven't had that call, I'm sure you still get a sense of who that is. Right. So just spend 10 minutes mapping that out, and equally map out the characteristics of the people who drain your energy. What is it about them that is taking away your energy? Really, really important, because then you can start to bring some intentionality to who you work with and how you work with them. The truth is, if you're unsure about this, a best guess is the best start. So this is Ollie Whitman. And I think for people like Louise who are looking to launch a business, this is super duper relevant. So Ollie, he launched his business in June. He was a first-time founder. He had less than 1,000 employees. Less than 1,000 followers. That'd be pretty impressive. First-time founder, 1,000 employees off the bat. No, he had less than 1,000 followers. His first business that he's ever launched, he launched it in June. He joined Mothertree, our lead gen system, in September, and he closed his first client in October. He went to Anfield to deliver that. The client's not Liverpool, but he delivered the work in Anfield. Great time if you're a Liverpool fan. And so just going back to it, best guess is the best start, right? And it looks like not many people put a yes in the chat, so it might be that you're unsure. Take a best stab at it, right? And just start when you're on calls or working with your boss. What is it about them that's bringing you energy or draining your energy? Just see if you can bring some intentionality to that. The third thing is message, right? This is all about, on LinkedIn, getting really, really clear who you help, what you do, and how you help them do it. Here's an example just to take you through. And I'm very, very sorry to this person, but I'm going to roast their profile. So I found a bit of content from this person's profile on my feed, and it was a really great bit of content. So I went to their profile, but I have no idea what they do. And the truth is, we live in a attention deficit disorder society. We have about 2 to 5 seconds to make an impression on someone when they reach our profile. If we're left guessing, you are losing out on business, and you're losing out on potential influence if you're an employee. And so I'm thinking here, okay, is this person an architect? Do they live in Oxford? Because I guess this is Oxford, these beautiful golden buildings. I mean, they're clearly bright. University of Oxford, Yale graduate, incredible. But I have no clue what they do. Like, what is Feather and Square? What is a visiting investor? I'm left guessing about what this person does, who they help, and how they help them do it. And therefore, they're not going to win my business because I have no clue what they do. And so the homework for message is, spend 10 minutes after this call just mapping out who you help, what you do, how you help them do it. Right, as a founder. If you're an employee, a bit like Hannah we showed earlier, you can still do that, right? You can still be really clear on LinkedIn who you work for, right? For Hannah, that's Frank Knight, but also what you do in terms of sustainability or making the world a better place. For Hannah, that's DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So you can get really, really clear who you help, what you do, how you help them do it. Next is content. This is really the engine of the whole piece, right? Once you get content right, everything else gets so much easier. But the truth is, not all content works, right? Not posting doesn't work. It's not going to move you anywhere. Not posting enough. I hear people say, posting twice a month or twice a week is enough. 5 to 7 posts a week is the sweet spot, right? Anything more than 7, and we see impressions start to go down. Anything less than 7, you're not showing up enough for the people you want to work with in terms of building that audience and winning that business. I also see this, posting too narrowly. Not sure if that's how you pronounce narrowly, but anyway, narrow posts. And by that, I mean staying in your niche, staying in your lane. And I hear a lot of business gurus saying, pick a niche. But the truth is that advice is contextual. And when it comes to LinkedIn, it's not massively helpful. I see a lot of people posting, just within their one niche. Perhaps that's accountancy, and they're kind of like chicken wings, right? You can't fly. They're just posting the same thing all the time, not working. I want you guys to be condors. I want you to be soaring. And for that, we need to get wider than just one subject, just one thing to talk about. The fifth part is engagement. This is the piece which moves someone from, hey, I like this, like I've seen a post, I like the post, to moving to, hey, I really want to work with you, Robert, or I really want to work with you, Daryl, on expanding ESG, or Louise, I really want to explore that ESG business. It takes them from liking it to really wanting to talk to you. It's a really important part. There's 5 key actions on engagement. I'm going to give you one that you can take away today and implement. And this is the one where we've seen people close clients within a couple of weeks of this webinar. So what I want you to do, find 10 people who are roughly in your target audience who you want to work with, right? You can just write them down. Make sure they're posting on LinkedIn, even if it's just once a week or once every 2 weeks, make sure they're posting on LinkedIn. And then take time each day over the next couple of weeks to comment on their post, right? And just support them. Don't be salesy. Don't be that person who's like, hey, do you want to buy my thing? No, this is about creating meaningful relationships. And the truth is, the more value you put in up front, the more likely they are to then come to you and say, hey, tell me, Louise, tell me about what you do, because you've already given that person so much value. So start with comments. You can then potentially move into the direct messages. Often, this is a great thing, they start to talk to you about it. You don't even have to push the conversation because you've supported them so much. And so this is how your life can look. Engagement in your posts go way up, which means people start to reach out to you. They're saying, hey, I want to work with you, Daryl, about ESG. I want to talk to you. They request calls. I love that part. Qualified leads come in and want to work with you. You get requests to speak on podcasts and conferences.